That's
when
wild. That's wild.
When I speak for a living or have to stand in front of a boardroom or an auditorium or whatever, I'm constantly coming out of there smiling. People are like, "Oh, you know, he had a good talk." But for me, I'm crumbling inside. I need to get out of the room as fast as I can so I can like self-reflect on what I'm doing. And then I put myself through agony for 9 hours straight, typically at night, while everyone's sleeping. I'm just pacing the house. And then eventually I'll fall asleep. And then usually within 24 to 48 hours, it starts to subside and then I'm over it. So by doing this, it's like lifting weights, right? It's like reps. And that's why I enjoy yapping and just putting it out there.
That's fucking amazing. I'll tell you, I'll give you a little insight because I used to suffer from that quite a bit and I've been trying to control it. And I first really noticed that same anxiety when I'm going to speak back when around the time when we first met at Extreme Startups, it was demo day. I don't know if you were at demo day.
I was.
But this is when I first learned this trick. And I was walking up to that church or whatever it was that we did the demo day in. I had my suit on my shoulder and I'm walking up and I could feel this cold gut check bomb just building up inside of me. And I'm like, oh my God. And I was on second. And I got this idea that I'm like, I'm going to know most of these people in the room. Like throughout the course of Extreme Startups, I've met most of them. But standing on stage feels, and there's going to be like, maybe I've met 50% of them, but standing on stage was feeling horrifically terrifying. So I came up with this idea, like I'm never nervous when I'm talking to these guys one-on-one. So I started something which I now still do to this day when I'm speaking publicly, is I work the room before I go on stage. So as everyone's sort of coming into the room and getting comfortable, I go and I just say hi to a bunch of people.
Smart.
And I pick 2 or 3 of them. And when I'm on stage, I only look at them. I make sure they're sitting far apart from each other, but I treat it like I'm speaking to just those 3 people. And I got paid to do this stand-up gig. I paid to do the public speaking gig at for the City of Toronto on entrepreneurship. And I was speaking in front of 5,000 people, biggest room I've ever spoken in front of. And I was feeling it that day. And I went early, and I'm like, there's pictures of me on the wall and stuff like, this guy's speaking. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die. And I went and worked the room, and I picked up 3 or 4 people, and I just made sure I knew where they were, and I was just looking straight at them when I was talking. And it worked. That's the thing that worked for me.
I had a similar thing happen to, it might have been like 6-7 years ago now. It feels like it was yesterday. Prior to that event, and it was a defining event. I've never actually told anyone about this. So again, here I am just spilling my guts to you.
This is it.
Prior to this event happening, which it materially had a dent on my ability to do public speaking or even camera speaking or television work, I would be in front of crowds all the time, on stage, panels, you name it. And it was at a demo, actually, funny enough, for our company. And we were at the headquarters of this car company. There's not a lot of people in the room. It's 25, 30 people. And something happened that day. I think I didn't sleep well. I knew my content inside and out, right? And like that pitch I delivered 400 times. This is how instant things can change your business career, your trajectory. And I didn't sleep well. I wasn't feeling it. And I got up quickly, and just that motion of getting out of my chair so quickly to deliver my content in front of the room, I think changed my blood pressure or something. So what happened was, as I was talking and I was powering through my content and delivering in front of the room, my chest started, because my pulse was fast.
Yeah.
My chest started getting tight, and I couldn't get in air as I was speaking. So I was running out of air. And what happened was, as I was delivering the content to the room, I started panicking because I was wondering if they could see that I couldn't breathe while I was talking, and I was running out of air. And my assistant at the time was sitting there, and she was looking at me, and and I saw her face. So I knew she knew something was up. And I actually had to stop and say to the room, I'm so sorry, but something is going on. And I exited the room. They called me an ambulance, and I left.
Oh my God.
And I ended up in the hospital. And it was an anxiety attack. It was basically, I triggered myself into an anxiety attack, but because it was public speaking, from that moment after, for a period of about 5 years, and I'm admitting this now publicly, I avoided any public speaking. opportunity. I must have turned down 20 or 30.
Wow.
I had multiple TV related items for like panels on BNN or whatever the case may be. Didn't do those. And it took me a long time to get back to just being even to do this. Just me and you, just with a camera and a microphone. It took me a long time to work that back. And even to this day, there was an opportunity that came up last year at NADA to have center stage, and I declined it because of that moment.
Because yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because those are devastating. They feel really devastating.
Yeah.
And you know who does that is Scott Galloway to this day, and he's getting paid like $250, $350 for a 45-minute speech. And he goes, still to this day, there is a very, very, very real possibility that I will have a panic attack and the event is over.
Yeah.
You can tell when I'm
at least he owns it.
Yeah.
I respect it. And that's what you're doing, by the way, by you breaking the ice on the stage prior to going on the stage. What you're doing is you're giving yourself familiarity and comfortableness for you to stand in front of people now that you know versus cold. It's a mental thing.
I do it all the time now for everything, just kind of a just in case. Like if I got to go on Ben Mulrooney's show in a couple weeks, and I will show up early. I'm going to talk to his producer. I'm just going to flit about.
Yeah.
I'll just, even though I know a band, I'll still just break the ice for that moment. I was on Matt Galloway's show once, and same thing. I showed up incredibly early and just sort of milled about and talked to producers and stuff. I just don't want to not know someone who's suddenly staring at me.
There's power in this, by the way. Yeah. I did this once. It was a couple of years ago. It was a big room. And, obviously I was in my head before I went up. I just said to the room before I started, and this is how I started it. I cracked a joke. It was the best icebreaker ever because it was natural. I said, what did I say? I said the following. Look, when I speak, I talk fast. Number one. And number two, my face is going to turn really red. I want you to know, please don't call an ambulance. I'll be fine. But there is a 2.5 here, which is one time in front of a room similar to this, I actually had an anxiety attack that made me leave in an ambulance. So I just want to let you know that I'm human. And
see, that's brilliant.
And
you're calling it out.
You just call it out. Yeah. And once you do that, it's like gone.
It takes its power away.
That's it.
It takes its power away. That's amazing. Okay, so we both suffer from the same thing. You'd said something when we were talking about being a Yap creator.
This feels ominous.
Yeah. You said formerly hockey. What's that?
We're closing today, actually. We sold the team. And, it's a little bittersweet. I'm sad. We had a great run, 7 years, hard to believe. Won 2 banners. We didn't win a championship. We almost did. We lost in game 6, but it's been great. We've changed a lot of lives in the junior hockey level. We've moved, 20 guys on to post-secondary, NCAA, U Sports, D3, D1 careers that potentially, if it wasn't for our organization, our coaching staff, and what we do, they may not have gotten there. So felt good, and it was time. It's time to leave the sport, and like anything in life, you get to a point where it's going to sound wrong, but it's the only way I can frame it. There's a time where you have to leave when you're not as respected at certain tables anymore.
Yep.
And it was time. Not that anyone was doing anything wrong to me, or I don't want this certainly to feel like victim blaming. That's not the case. It's just your legacy sometimes can be leaving on a high rather than a low. And we felt, when I say we, my wife and I, we felt like we had given as much as we could give to the sport of hockey, the institution of hockey, Hockey Canada, this Canadian Junior Hockey League, the league that we were in, the OJHL, the Ontario Hockey Association. We felt like everything that we could give, and we gave so much. Like, we poured our heart into this thing. It was time. It was time for us to leave in harmony with everyone versus like just exhaustion and your knuckles are bleeding and you're coming out the other side. So strategically, we picked our jumping off point, and it is bittersweet. But we're closing today. It might be happening now. It might be closed right now. I don't even know.
Well, we'll check in a minute. But that sounds great. I mean, like, honestly, I've been watching your hockey ownership journey on Instagram for years now, and you were so passionate. And I'm like, I actually was like, how does he do this and run a company? Like, there's so much you're putting into that. And it's like, as soon as your day job's over, the other hat comes on and off to the game you go Friday night. Like, you're there. Like, this was a lot of work.